So you met someone who is child-free by choice. They intentionally made the decision not to have children. And you're confused. You're like, why are they not having kids? It doesn't even occur to you that there are people out there in the world who have no interest in bearing children, in having children of their own, who want to continue their ancestry, their lineage. Trust me, I've met so many people in my own life who have been really curious and wanting to understand why in the world I personally would not want to have children, why I've never wanted to have children. I remember one time a couple years ago, I was in Bali, Indonesia, on a whitewater rafting adventure. And the woman in my boat literally was like, wait, you don't want kids? And she asked me all these questions in the whitewater rafting boat, asking me, how is it possible that I wouldn't want children? And how did I know? And when did I know? And what was my husband's thoughts on the matter? Just recently, my husband had lunch with someone, I can't mention who, someone who is friends with a family member of my husband's, and this person couldn't stop asking questions to my husband, going further and further into the details of, but why don't you want kids? What does your wife think of this? What do your parents think of this? What about when you die? What about when you grow older? Who's going to take care of you? All of these questions that seem to not ever stop. And this is something that is so common to those who are choosing the child-free by choice lifestyle. We get asked a lot of questions. And so in today's video, I want to make a quick video sharing all of the things that you should not say to someone who is child-free by choice. This is considered rude. This is considered ill manners. And this is something that I think we should all be striving for. Because let's be real, I think the people that we like the most in life are people who are not judgmental, people who are curious, but don't ask pervasive, insensitive questions about why you make the choices in your life that you do. I think there's a way to be curious without hounding a person and trying to make them see the error in their ways. There's a way to do this with sensitivity and compassion and consideration. And I think there's not enough content on the internet talking about this. I also do have a playlist right here of the Child-Free by Choice playlist for anyone that wants to find community, that wants to, get ideas and opinions from a lot of different points or perspectives, questions you might be having about the Child-Free by Choice movement. I've created a playlist. This is the 13th video in this playlist for you, so feel free to binge that, enjoy that. I hope that this playlist that I've created for you helps you feel less alone in your journey and know that there are other people out there like you that want the same thing. I am a living, breathing example, a real example of someone who's happily married, living the life of my dreams, and pursuing the child-free by choice lifestyle. Thank God. So let's talk about the first things that you should not be saying to someone who's child-free by choice. Number one, you'll change your mind. This is so flippant and so insensitive. Believe them. Believe the person that says that they don't want a child. Do you think that they've just decided this on a whim? Do you think that this person who is deciding to live a child-free life has not thought this through, has not weighed the pros and cons, has not gone deep into their own inner voice and intuition to explore their hearts and ask themselves, do I really want this? Most people who are choosing child-free have thought about this long and hard. In fact, I would say we've thought about this probably more than people who do have children, because to not have a child comes with a lot of sacrifice. To not have a child comes with a lot of cons. There's a lot of downsides to not having a child. And to assume that we don't know what we're talking about, or that we haven't thought this through, or that we will change our minds someday, it discredits our voice. It discredits our opinions, and it makes us feel like we're silly, we're stupid, we haven't thought this through. You'll change your mind, honey. It's condescending. It's rude, and it's incredibly insensitive. This is probably one of the worst things. We're starting off strong here. This is one of the worst things you can say to someone who is choosing child-free, is saying that they will change their mind. Maybe they've thought about this their entire lives. Maybe they've never felt a maternal instinct since childhood. Maybe when you were thinking about baby names, they were thinking about the countries they wanted to travel to, the dogs they wanted to have, the books they wanted to write. You don't know what that person's dreams are. You don't know what that person's visions and the hopes that they have how they're going to spend their lives. People who choose child-free have thought about it in depth, intensely. And so for you to assume that that person is silly, stupid, or just hasn't thought it through yet shows how disconnected and uninformed and unaware that you are towards human psychology, and that there are people that may be very different from you. And I think this is why this is a quote I'm saying now, travel is the antidote to bigotry. Travel is the antidote to seeing life from a limited, narrow-minded perspective. You want to start understanding human nature. You want to start understanding how people operate and how they might see the world differently. Go travel. Get out of your own bubble. Stop reading from the same news cycle or whatever that you read. Stop watching the same YouTube channels and get out into the world and start talking to people who believe differently than you. You want to start understanding people? Start getting out of your own community and start finding new people that believe different things. That is the biggest way that you can develop compassion, sensitivity, and a non-judgmental outlook on humans and human beings, right? So one of the worst things you can say, you'll change your mind, because chances are we probably won't change our mind. Like most of the people, I would think from just reading all the comments over my many videos over the years, a lot of people have chosen to be child-free by choice for 30, 40 years. They haven't changed their mind. In fact, they don't regret it at all. So don't think that they're going to change their mind, because they probably won't. Number 2, assuming that we're career obsessed. Let's stop putting women in boxes. Human beings are very nuanced. There's a lot of gray. They're not black or white. Just because someone doesn't want a child doesn't mean that they're obsessed with their career. It doesn't mean that they're workaholics or that they're so single-mindedly focused on achieving success and fame and money. You don't know that. You don't know that person. Could it be that that person that decides not to have children has a lot of hobbies or interests or ways that they might want to spend their time that don't involve childcare? Changing diapers or running after and thinking about a child? The truth of the matter is that if you have a child, you're constantly thinking about that kid. You're constantly thinking about, where are they? Are they safe? What are they doing? How are they enjoying life? Who are they dating? You're thinking about them all the time as they grow up into adulthood. And when you decide not to have a child, you have all this space. You have all this space in your mind, in your day, in your life, in your time to pursue so many things. Interests, hobbies. You want to learn the piano? Go learn the piano. You want to study French? Go get that French tutor. You want to go move to Argentina and start your life over? You can if you wanted to. You wanted to get that flight and go for a 24-hour trip somewhere? You can. The freedom of time, energy, resources, money, thoughts, mental space in your mind, the cleanliness of your house, the amount of benefits and perks to being child-free, immense, immeasurable. And to assume that women only don't want to have kids because they're obsessed with their career is so uninformed and just uneducated. Like, humans are a lot more gray than that. There's a lot of nuance. So stop putting women in boxes. It's not an either or category. It's not either you're obsessed with your career and fame and money, or you're obsessed with being a mom and having family life and domestic life. Nope, there's no either or. That's an assumption. So let's start reflecting on that and asking where we pick that up. Where in society, in our programming, have we picked up on the idea that women should be categorized into boxes, that they're either or, this or that? We're nuanced, we're multifaceted. What's that famous quote? Do I contradict myself? Therefore, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes. Whoever said that, brilliant. I contain multitudes. Humans contain multitudes. Let's start seeing human beings in that way. I think we'll be a lot happier if we do that. All right, number 3, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Like, who's going to be with you when you're in your older age and you're about to die? What if you die alone? This is so insensitive. And also, I just find it very, I hate to say it, like, kind of silly that someone would think this, because this assumes, this question assumes that if you have a child, that's automatically going to guarantee you a caregiver. That if you decide to procreate, that's an automatic, I've got help and support in my old age. That is so silly. That is so inaccurate. That is so false. You know how many children don't like their parents? or move away very far away because they don't want to live near their parents in that home country of theirs, or maybe they decide to start their lives over somewhere else and they can't live near their parents and they don't want to live near their parents. This is your life to live. What if you die alone? It's just so rude. Like, please don't do that. Please don't say that. If you want someone not to like you, say that. Ask the question, who's going to take care of you when you're old? What if you die alone? Ask those questions and I guarantee you'll have no friends. Okay, next point. Do you not like kids? I hate this one. I think this is the one I hate the most because it's essentially assuming that we don't like children because we choose not to have kids. When in fact, people who choose not to have children have thought deeply about the lifestyle changes, the sacrifices of time, energy, money, resources, all of it. And we have decided, even though we love children so much, we're not going to have kids because this is more important to me in my life. This is more of a value, a priority to me in my life. Knowing your values. There's that famous quote, when the values are clear, decisions are easy. I'll say it again because it's so important. When values are clear, decisions are easy. When you know your values and your priorities in your life, your non-negotiables. Decisions about how you spend to live your life, easy. Easy to make decisions. You don't have to sit and think about things. You don't have to make pro-con lists because you know your values and what's of utmost importance and priority to you. And so a lot of us women love children, and yet we choose not to have them because our values and our priorities are more essential and we know them. We have more awareness of them. And that beats out on our love for kids. And also, very simple, but I think a lot of people assume that if you love kids, you should be a parent. And that's not at all true. There's a very big difference between loving being around kids and being a parent for the rest of your life. There's a lot of responsibility to being a parent. And those who are child-free by choice have probably thought about this more than anyone else, I would guess. Because we've made the decision to opt out of something when we love that. We love children, and yet we still have chosen to opt out. You don't know that person, and to assume that you know that person's thoughts and opinions about children, it's just sad. Now, I will say there are a lot of people out there that do not like kids, and that's why they're not having them. But a lot of people who are child-free by choice, they do love children, and yet they're still choosing to opt out because their non-negotiables, their values, their priorities are more clear to them, and that does not include children. Oh my gosh, let's talk about the next one. Do you not love your partner? I've gotten this one a lot. It's funny. I remember I once got a comment on an Instagram or a YouTube video. Someone said, Alex, do you not want to have Helena's children? I've been asked before, do you not love Alex enough that you want a little human that's half of him? Again, this is one of the most insensitive things you could ever say, because those who are child-free by choice and love their partner deeply, we might be prioritizing that partner. I know for me and my husband, one of the reasons we don't want kids is because we want to prioritize each other. I tell my husband all the time, like, if we had a kid, I would give that child so much more attention than him. Same with our animals. Like, whenever we get foster animals, foster cats, dogs. By the way, we've never had an animal together, a permanent animal, because we're so conscious about our time, energy, money, resources, all of this. Like, we haven't even made the commitment to get a pet yet. And my husband and I have been together going on 11 years, and we love animals. We still haven't gotten a pet, even though we've wanted one for years. But we know the responsibility and the commitment that it entails. And we're not these people that just decide to make a bold decision. I'm going to get a cat and then hold off on our dreams, right? Like, we consciously think things through. And I feel like, I just feel like people who are child-free by choice or like choose not to get animals, like, we really think things through. And I think a lot of people think that we don't have that foresight, that we're short-sighted in our thinking, when in actuality, we've thought long and hard about all of these decisions. Anyway, if we had kids, my husband and I would spend less time together, prioritizing our romance, our marriage, our adventures together, my adoration, obsessive energy toward him and him for me. This is one of the reasons we don't want kids, is because we want to put all of our energy on each other, all of our time. My husband and I, we've been together 11 years, going on 11 years, and we still never run out of things to say to each other. We still go on adventures. Our hobbies, our pursuit, just being together, going to the grocery store together, going through a walk in the park. We just got back from a walk in the park, and I'm just like, God, I could spend the rest of my life just walking with you, whether it's in silence or talking. I want to devote all of my time and energy all on you. That passion and love for my husband will always be more than anything else. And I don't want a child because I never want to give any less attention from my husband to another human in our family. It's all on my husband. And I know that when we eventually get animals, because we do want a lot of animals someday, probably get our cats and our dogs in our mid to late 30s. But I know that when we do that, a lot of my attention and energy is going to go on the dogs. Because every time we get foster animals, a lot of my attention goes on the animals and it gets taken away from him. Can you imagine if we had a kid? Can you imagine if we had a child? Our marriage would suffer, absolutely. And not only would it suffer, but it's just less energy on us and our love for each other and our joy. I think when you have a really good marriage and you have a really beautiful relationship, life is so joyful. Life is so happy. Life is easy. Life is free. When you have a really solid marriage. Look at the synastry, guys. I'm an astrologer. Look at the synastry, okay? It's all there. But my husband and I, our synastry is so freaking good. And it's evident in our relationship. Why would I want to give that up? Why would I want to sacrifice some of that joy and happiness for another part of our lives that's just going to be a lot of responsibility and a lot of time spent away from each other and our mission for our lives? I would say not having children shows that I love my partner way more. So that question of, do you not love your partner? It's very funny. It's very interesting. Because in actuality, I don't want kids because I love my partner that much. I don't want to take any time and energy away from him. So fascinating that comes up, right? Do you not love your partner? Alex, do you not want to have children with her? Do you not love her enough to have children with her? No, actually, we love each other so much. That's why we don't want kids. We don't want any energy to be taken away from our obsessiveness and our adoration for each other. That's why. Okay, another thing, assuming that we won't ever experience real love. This kind of goes on to my next point, which I think a lot of people who see people who are child-free by choice, they kind of feel a little sad for them. Like there's some pity in their eyes. Like you're never going to experience real love. You're never going to experience that true love feeling in this life because you're not having kids. Again, insensitive and also just idiotic and stupid. Like it is so stupid to think that someone's not going to experience full love in this life by choosing not to have kids. You don't know what that human finds enjoyment in. Again, it's assuming that we are so knowledgeable and aware and enlightened and informed about human nature that we don't know what might bring other people happiness. Let's get curious. Let's stay open-minded. Let's stop thinking that we're all wired the same way, that we humans only crave and want the same things. Let's start looking at human beings from a lens of, isn't that interesting? Instead of, oh, they're never going to experience real love in this life. It's so judgmental. And I got to say, judgmental people, least favorite. So assuming that you won't ever experience real love because you're not having children. And also another thing, please don't, goes on another point, don't ask us if we're going to freeze our eggs. This is, again, so insensitive. I'm like on a rant at this point because you can see how fired up I get. Because people ask these questions to me and to other people all the time. And this is why I'm making these videos. The reason I make these videos on Childfree by Choice is to lend a voice to a community that is ignored, that doesn't feel empowered or is quietly empowered, but feels like society at large doesn't understand them. Child-free by choice people are either ignored, questioned, or like we're looked at like we're a foreign specimen. We're looked at like we're a weird alien that like doesn't make sense why you wouldn't want kids, right? A lot of humans treat us like this. And so I'm getting on the internet to talk about these things, to lend a voice to the people that do feel alone in community. Asking us if we're going to freeze our eggs is so invasive. So invasive of a question. There are no words. I can't even say anything. There are no words. There's no words. I can't, no words. I think all of this that I'm saying, there's this weird idea, I think, with a lot of people when they look at the child-free by choice movement, or people who are choosing to be child-free by choice, right? It's almost like they want to start pitching us. Let me pitch you the idea. Let me be a salesperson, a little marketer hat right now. Let me give you my pitch as to why you should have kids. Stop pitching us. Stop selling an idea to us. Stop telling us what we might think, feel, want, believe, or what we're missing out on if we don't have it. Stop with the questioning. The amount of people who spend all their time curious, which is wonderful, but there's a judgmental curiosity to these questions, the constant questioning. Question after another question after another question. Why don't you want kids? What do your parents think? What does your wife think? What does your sister think? What if you die alone? Have you thought about freezing your eggs just in case you change your mind? It's assuming that we haven't thought this through, when in fact, we have thought this through a lot more than probably you have. This video is made for those of you who ask way too many questions, invasive, insensitive, flippant questions, to those of us who have made a huge decision about our life paths. And I would like to end this video by simply saying this. What if we questioned you on your choice to have children? What if we questioned you and said, are you sure you actually want to have kids? Oh, you do want to have kids. Okay, why? If we asked you being pregnant, you having a child, can you imagine someone child-free by choice and asking you why you would want a kid? That is so rude and so insensitive and invasive. Imagine if we asked that question to you. Don't you feel how rude that is and how insensitive that is? Why would you want a kid? You really want a kid? Oh. Was it an accident? Oh, no, it's not. Oh, you've intentionally chosen this. Okay. Why? Why don't you want kids? Is it for your parents? Is it because you're afraid of your old age? Is it because you were afraid of getting older and not having someone take care of you? Do you see how that line of questioning, asking someone, why in the world would you want to have a kid? Makes no sense to me. That's so rude. I would never ask that or even think that, because I am so aware that we humans are all wired so differently. We're souls here on this planet for a very short amount of time. And we're here to experience this life that our souls chose to live. And I would never question someone's decision on having children or not, because I know that we came into this life with our own rule book, our own route, our own life path, our own soul development. I'm never judging people for having children, and I expect the same in return. And so this is, I think, my final video on the child-free by choice movement. I wanted to create a full playlist of all the videos of the different talking points, questions, and just ideas around this subject to hold space for those of you who are child-free by choice or are questioning. Let's say you're on the fence and you're trying to get, a sense of, do I want kids or do I not? I hope that these videos in this playlist here have given you a sense of seeing multiple angles and perspectives, and also helped you feel not alone in your own journey. I think personally, maybe I'm biased, but I think I'm a great example of someone in this life who, lives a full life, a happy life, a life of immense purpose and a sense of fulfillment. I've been happily married for many years. I live my dream life in France. I'm not a workaholic. I'm not obsessed with achievement like a lot of people might assume the child-free by choice people are. I'm simply a woman who made a decision because I love life, and I'm aware of time, and I'm aware of what's important to me, and I'm very clear on my values, and because of that, decisions are easy. I grew up in a family where there were several of my family members didn't have children, and they never told anyone about why they didn't want kids because they didn't want to be judged. I remember my aunt and uncle, I asked my aunt, because she told me she never wanted kids, and she grew up in a very conservative Christian town, okay, upbringing. And I asked her, I said, how was that growing up, in your 30s, being married so long? When people asked you these questions, how did you respond? And she said, I just told them not right now, and I just left it at that because I didn't want to answer their questions. Because again, it's invasive, it's insensitive. And there are so many of us who feel this way and feel judged and criticized and questioned, and almost makes us feel like we're stupid or we're uninformed or uneducated or we have no sense of direction or foresight. And I want this playlist here to be a place on the internet forever. I'll keep these videos up forever. I want this to be a place where you know that there are people like you out there in the world. There are people like you in the world who love their lives, love their partner. Even if you're single or not, doesn't matter. You love life. And you've also chosen to be child-free by choice. So I hope that this playlist serves as an expander for you, or I am an expander for you, that I am just one example of a real human who chose not to have kids and is very happy with my decision, so that you know that you're less alone and that there are options. I think that's the biggest thing. There are options for you. There's no one size fits all, one way to success, one way to happiness, one route that you should or shouldn't take. You got to do what's right for you, whether that's to have children or to not have children. Both are beautiful options, but what is right for you? And I hope that these videos have helped you see a different perspective and also serve as a reminder to connect with yourself before you ask anyone else what you should do. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed the Child Free by Choice video series. It's been wonderful to make. If you guys have any other topics that you would like me to make on, I'm happy to make more videos on this topic. But I was sitting with my journal today and I can't think of any other topics that I would want to film on with the Child Free by Choice video series. This was kind of the last talking point I wanted to make, was what not to say to those that are child-free. I thought about making a video on the benefits of being child-free by choice, but that sounds a little in your face and like, oh, my life's better than you because I'm child-free, when I don't believe that at all. Mercury and Gemini, I can see multiple perspectives at the same time. I can hold dual opinions at the same time as well. So I don't ever want to make content where it's like I don't know, shunning a certain community or poo-pooing on the idea of having children, because I don't believe that. I think we all have to make our own decisions that are right for us. Okay, this was a long video. Way too long. It's supposed to be a 10-minute video. That was my goal. But Mercury and Gemini, I can blab. I can talk for a long, long time. I have an opinion about every single thing. Everything. Give me a topic, I could talk about it for 30 minutes. Okay. That's it for this video series. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out my book, Slow Living. You can find it on Amazon, helenawoods.com/book. I'll include the link down below. Follow me on Instagram at Ms. Helena Woods. I post all the time there. And have a magical day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.